want to put my son in jail for something that they made up. So they know they made it up. And they say he will serve the rest of his life in prison. These are sick, bad people. And don't tell me about us going after them. If anything, we've been very, very soft. I wouldn't be that soft, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, y'all, we are back with another video. I definitely had to bring y'all this. And I do want to say, man, praise God, man, that Pete Hegseth plane, landed safely. They say he had an emergency landing due to a crack in the aircraft windshield. So we even got more details on it. Of course, everybody panicked and stuff like that and was scared, but thank God everything is okay. And I will run through some of the details of what some people is saying about it. And not only that, President Trump, he just goes off in the Oval Office today. I'm going to say that towards the end of the video, so make sure y'all stay until the end. And, of course, the dollar store Barack Obama, Hakeem Jeffrey, is still out embarrassing himself. Then you got Mondani trying to go on Fox News, looking into the camera as if he's trying to warn President Trump. President Trump said he ain't giving no funds to New York City if they pick Mondani. And so he decided to go on Fox News and trying to put out a little message to President Trump as if it really means anything, coming from somebody named Mondani. Nobody cares about you. And we got even more news to get to. So like I said, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody showing so much support. And shout out to the one that always watches the entire video. I appreciate all of you, man. Just like y'all did my video yesterday. I appreciate all of you that let me know in the comment section that you did stay until the end. And that was a 40-minute video I did yesterday. And a lot of you watched the entire video, and I really appreciate it. So hopefully y'all do it for this video. Please let me know down below in the comment section that you did watch this entire video. Let me know in the comment section and hit that like button. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into this. And I do want to start this off with Pete Hegseth so everybody will know what's going on. So right here, you see right here by Paul, it says Secretary of War Pete Hegseth plane had to make an emergency landing in the UK on Wednesday due to a crack in the aircraft windshield. Thankfully, everyone was on board was safe following the incident. And you see right here by Sean Parnell say on the way back to the United States from NATO Defense Ministries meeting, Secretary of War Hegseth plane made an unscheduled landing in the United Kingdom. So they're pretty much saying that the plane landed based on standard procedures and everyone on board, including Secretary Hegseth, is safe. And we can listen to what they said right here.
On the way back to the United States from NATO's defense ministers meeting, Secretary of War Hegseth's plane made an unscheduled landing in the United Kingdom due to a crack in the aircraft windshield. The plane landed based on standard procedures, and everyone on board, including Secretary Hegseth, is safe. So we did want to bring you that breaking news as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Moscow earlier today while he was at that NATO summit that the United States and its allies would, quote, impose costs on Russia for its continued aggression if the war in Ukraine does not come to an end. So we were sharing some remarks earlier from Secretary Hegseth as he was addressing some of the leaders there at the NATO summit, talking about increasing U.S. weapons purchases for Ukraine and heading back to the United States from that meeting. So we did want to share that breaking news with you.
So, there you go right there. Then, of course, right here, Nick Sorta had a little bit more up on this. He said, breaking update. Secretary Hegseth's plane has safely landed at RAF Mildenhall, a British Air Force base, following an emergency being declared on board. Praise God. Per the Pentagon, the windshield cracked mid-flight, so the pilot quickly dropped the plane to 10,000 feet. Not a fun experience, I'm sure. I'm glad everyone's safe. So like I said, man, that right there is that's scary, man. That is scary. And you see right here say by Nick Sorta say the Air Force C-32 carrying Secretary Pete Hegseth has declared an emergency over the Atlantic, dropped to 10,000 feet and now reversed course to the UK. Plane is squawking 7,700, which could mean an engine failure, medical issues on board fire, or another general emergency. So like I said, that right there was scary. Good thing about it, like I said, everything is okay. Everything is fine with Secretary Pete Hegseth. Of course, this made everybody nervous, in panic and stuff like that, especially like President Trump, the entire Trump administration. So like I said, thank God everything is fine with that situation there. Now, I do want to turn the tables and get to this right here because, of course, for the 9th time, the Democrats reject opening up the government. But yet, the dollar store Barack Obama, Hakeem Jeffrey, is still blaming it on Republicans. So you can even see right here, say breaking. Senate Democrats reject for the 9th time. Because remember, they got something coming up, I think, on the 18th. And that's what they said, that Chuck Schumer is trying to wait till after this, after the 18th, because we know exactly what they got planned with the protesters and stuff. So you can start here, say Senate Democrats reject for the 9th time Republicans' cleaning funding bill to reopen the government 51-44. This comes just after OMB Director Russ Vought said thousands of federal employees will be fired and Chuck Schumer can only stop it by opening the government. Republicans could do this for weeks. President Trump just made sure the troops were paid and said that Democrats will cave. So, I mean, there they go again. Like for the 9th time, failing to reopen the government. And it said breaking Speaker Johnson confirmed that Chuck Schumer and Democrats are waiting until after this weekend's No Kings left-wing funded rally in Washington to reopen the government.
I hope it ends soon. I don't think it will end before the Hate America rally on the mall on Saturday, where all the Marxists and Antifa people and all the people who hate Trump and hate America will be there. After that, though, I hope there's a couple of sensible Democrats who will come to their senses over in the Senate and vote the right way to do the right thing that they have always done every time in the past in their career. They need to do it now for the people, for the American people.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people are saying that if they were to open the government, it would take a lot of the wind out of the sails of that thing coming up this weekend. Speakers.
Wow. And of course, President Trump said he was going to make sure that the troops got paid today. And of course, President Trump always keep his promises. And say by Eric Dawson, breaking President Trump signs order mandating the payment of active duty American troops today, October 15, despite the Democrats' government shutdown. Boom. 47 came through. It said, as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States under Article 2 of the United States Constitution, I direct the Secretary of War in coordination with the Director of the Office of Management and Budget to use for the purpose of pay and allowance any funds appropriated by the Congress that remain available for expenditure in fiscal year 2026 to accomplish the scheduled reimbursement of military pay and allowances for active duty military personnel, as well as the reserve component military personnel who has performed active service during the relevant pay period. Funds used for military pay and allowances during the current lapse should be those that the Secretary of War determines are provided for purposes that have a reasonable logical relationship to the pay and allowances of military personnel consistent with applicable law, including 31 U.S.C. 1301A. At the conclusion of the current lapse in appropriations, every effort should be made as authorized by law to adjust applicable funding accounts within the Department of War to ensure the continuation of Department of War operation activities consistent with planned expenditures prior to the lapse. So, like I said before, that's just President Trump, keeping his promise and making sure the troops get paid. So, and that's what I'm talking about. That's the reason why Democrats be mad. Because, like I said, President Trump stands on everything he said he was going to do. And when I showed the video, you seen a lot of the troops and stuff was in line getting food and stuff. Because with the government shut down, they ain't getting paid. So salute to President Trump for coming through. And, of course, a lot of Democrats got mad at him for that because the Democrats want the American people to suffer, and then they want to turn it on. See, because if you notice what Hakeem Jeffries is doing, he keeps saying that the Trump administration is the one that got the government shut down, and when yet they the one shut it down, so they want to try to make all the American people turn on President Trump and make it seem like he the reason the government shut down. But the American people is not falling for that. Now, I did just talk about the Pete Hegseth situation. And Eric Daugherty, posted again, said the aircraft carrying Secretary of War Pete Hegseth had landed in the UK after having to turn around over the Atlantic due to a crack in the airplane windshield. The plane was traveling back from Brussels. Everyone, including Hegseth, is safe. So I guess he just made another update. So I definitely just wanted to bring that to y'all. And of course, you already know Nancy Pelosi. I mean, man, this woman just don't stop talking. She just don't stop talking. And here she go, pointing her finger, pretty much, I guess, telling the reporter to shut up and all type of stuff because she can't answer basic questions. So it said, holy crap, Representative Nancy Pelosi loses and goes berserk and yells at a reporter when asked, why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th? and she knows she refused it. See, that's the thing right there. She know for a fact she refused it, and then turn around and start blaming President Trump for everything. That was their goal, to try to keep President Trump from getting reelected. So check this out.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National
Yes, you
Guard.
did.
The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're...
She said the president didn't send it, but yet we literally showed the video of her saying it was her fault. I take responsibility of that. This woman is a liar, man. A straight liar.
Refuse the National Guard on January 6th.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
Boy, this is crazy. She up here telling the reporter to shut up. All Republican talking points. So let's get back on the government shutdown. You see right here, it's an OMB director Roosevelt unleashes more nightmare fuel for the left during the federal shutdown.
So are we talking 10 people? We talking 1,000 people? We talking 10,000 people?
We're definitely talking thousands of people. Much of the reporting has been based on kind of court snapshots, which they've articulated is in the 4,000 number of people. But that's just a snapshot, and I think it'll get much higher. And we're going to keep those riffs rolling throughout this shutdown because we think it's important to stay on offense for the American taxpayer and the American people in getting a government that, if there's an opportunity to have less bureaucracy, and think of Green New Deal programs at the Department of Energy, think the Minority Business Development Agency at Commerce that divvies up business grants on the basis of race, think environmental justice at EPA, think about CISA. CISA was an area that we riffed, which was participating in censorship of the American people. We want to be very aggressive where we can be in shuttering the bureaucracy, not just the funding, but the bureaucracy, that we now have an opportunity to do that. And that's where we're going to be looking for our opportunities.
Wow, so there you go right there. And so, of course, it just seemed like he never misses a day. Why do dollar store Barack Obama gets on the camera every single day talking about it's Republicans' fault? Oh, it's their fault. They won't sign a bill. They won't negotiate with us. They won't go in the back room. See, this is the thing. These Democrats want backroom deals. President Trump exposed that yesterday on Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey. They want these backroom deals for what American people don't know anything about. So what they're going to do in their next report, oh, Donald Trump did this in the back room right here. So let's go ahead and expose them. They trying their best to expose President Trump, but it's not going to work because he ain't falling for none of that crap. So look what Eric Dawes said, update. Hakeem Jeffrey adopts a new strategy to defeat MAGA and Republicans on his government shutdown by rhyming. Let's see what dollar store Barack Obama did.
But we also need a common sense partner on the other side of the aisle. House Republicans shut the government down. Then they ran out of town. And for the last 3 weeks, they're nowhere to be found. What more can I say? You deserve better. You deserve better. The American people deserve better.
Keep saying the American people when he really want to say illegal aliens deserve better. That's what he want to say. They keep on trying to throw people off by trying to say the American people. They don't give a rat's what about the American people. Mike Johnson already exposed who they really want to help, and that's illegal aliens. They just don't want to say it publicly. They don't want to say it publicly. So they just going to say the American people. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they think that we stupid and we're not. So why hasn't dollar store Barack Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, pretty much support this guy right here, Mondani? So now Mondani is already mad because President Trump said he's not going to fund New York, especially if he get elected. So he decided to go on Fox News, look into the camera as if he's scaring President Trump or anybody in the Trump administration. So it said now Zoran Mondani looks into the camera and speaks directly to President Trump after the President of the United States said he might withhold funds from New York City if communist Mondani wins.
I just want to speak directly to the president.
Oh, really?
Which is that I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who's ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living. That's the way that I'm going to lead this city. That's the partnership I want to build, not only with Washington, D.C., but anyone across this country. I think it's important because too often the focus on the needs of working class Americans, working class New Yorkers are put to the side as we talk more and more about the very kinds of corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo that delivered us into this kind of crisis.
So the question I asked you was what specifically in your background gives you the confidence that you can run a $115 billion budget and run this city specifically from your personal experience and your background?
I've been a state assembly member here in New York City. I've represented 130,000 people in Queens. And in the time that I've done so, I've not only delivered more than $100 million in increased bus and subway service, I've also secured $500 million in debt relief for working class taxi drivers. President Trump knows this. New Yorkers know this across the 5 boroughs.
No, nobody knows nothing.
As we're looking at them right here, are such a part of what we love about this city. And yet those same drivers were sold a lie about a ticket to the middle class.
Ain't it funny that these people, like, he'll get up on here and just tell freaking lies, but we'll get to that in just a second. He's just a freaking liar. I just don't get it at all. And then you look at this by Wall Street Apes. He said, there it is. New York Mayor candidate Zoran Mondani is foreign funded, accepting hundreds of overseas payments. That's what I'm saying. He's just telling a freaking lie. And say reports show his campaign received more than 170 contributions from addresses outside of the U.S. The payments received bypass election law and are illegal. It's very problematic, not just for Zoran Mondani, but anyone who has these kind of PACs, because it's a license to illegally funnel money. And foreign countries know you don't have to go to war against America. All you got to do is manipulate the election.
This morning, New York Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Mondani faces brutal backlash after accepting thousands of dollars in illegal foreign donations. Reports show his campaign received more than 170 contributions from addresses outside of the U.S., amounting to more than $13,000.
Wow.
Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa said it's very problematic, not just for Zoran Mondani, but anybody who has these kinds of PACs, because it's a license to illegally funnel money. And foreign countries know you don't have to go to war against America. All you got to do is manipulate the election.
Wow. And that's what I'm saying. Him, and then he's sitting up here trying to take up for Letitia James. Where was Zoran Mondani when Letitia James was going after President Trump? This woman ran on saying, I'm going to lock up President Trump. I'm going to bankrupt him. I'm going to take his money. All of this stuff. Where was Zoran Mondani? And now he does a rally with Letitia James. Does a rally talking about hands off Tish. What was hands off Trump? They just go to show you how fake they is. Now, check this out about Robbie Starbuck. He says Zoran Mondani was given multiple chances to walk back his language that he wanted to tax whiter neighborhoods at a higher rate, but he refused to walk it back. He wants higher taxes for affluent whites. As I've said, he's a communist.
And realize there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
So no plans to change that language on your website?
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system. And the use of that language is just an assessment of.
You see that? Just full of crap. That's why President Trump called him a communist. Like, this guy ain't nothing but a freaking liar. And that's why President Trump is just not going for it. President Trump know what type of guy this is. Trump say he would not give New York City federal funds if Mondani wins, while promising to give $20 billion to Argentina. Somebody gonna say, how is this America first? He ain't finna support no Mondani. So, of course, you know, you'll get some people who gets mad as Democrats want to go against President Trump and say, oh, he'll do this for Argentina, but he won't do this for the main. Like, these people need to shut up. But check out what President Trump said.
So it comes through the White House. The funding for New York and for every place comes through the White House. And I'm very generous, and I was always very generous with New York, even when you had opposition there, but I was always very generous. But I wouldn't be generous to a communist, a guy that's going to take the money and throw it out the window, because you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to let somebody get into office and squander the taxpayer money from this country. We're not going to let it happen. So it's a little bit like that with, if you take a look, Argentina. If the president doesn't win, I know the person that he'd be running against, I believe, probably. We probably have the person. The person is extremely far left and a philosophy that got Argentina into this problem in the first place. So we would not be generous with Argentina if that happened. If he loses, we are not going to be generous with Argentina.
And that's what President Trump said. So, I mean, it's like, it is what it is. Now, I do want to get to some of these clips right here because President Trump, I mean, he was just dropping bombs in the Oval Office today. And I definitely wanted to go through some of these clips and show y'all exactly what's being said today. And we'll start with this one. Said, breaking the President Trump, said they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a nice person, OMG Director Russell Vought. So check out what President Trump said.
So what we're doing, I mean, they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a very nice person, Russell Vought. But Russell Vought is really terminating tremendous numbers of Democrat projects. There's not only jobs, I mean, the project in Manhattan, the project in New York, it's billions and billions of dollars that Schumer has worked 20 years to get. It's terminated. Tell him it's terminated, Jennifer.
So, like I said, President Trump didn't stop there, so they got a good bit of them. Say, President Trump on Chuck Schumer.
As far as the shutdown's concerned, this is a Democrat Schumer shutdown. And he's trying to do it to get relevance back into the party because he's a loser. I've known him all his life. He's always been sort of a loser, but an intelligent one. But I think he's losing IQ points with time. I think that happens. I hope it hasn't happened with me. I know if it did, you guys will let me know about it very quickly.
Exactly. Not only that, Chuck Schumer, you know, threatened the Supreme Court today.
And they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
Just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy that Chuck Schumer would do something like that. Threaten them. So, I mean, stuff like that need to be investigated as well. So, I mean, man, this stuff like this is just insane, man. So, it's like, this is what just pissed us all off. And here go President Trump again.
On Venezuelan boats, I want to ask you, why not have the Coast Guard stop them, which it is empowered by law to do? You know, this way you can confirm who's on the boat and ensure that they're doing what you suspect.
Because we've been doing that for 30 years, and it has been totally ineffective. They have faster boats. Some of these boats are seriously, I mean, they're world-class speedboats, but they're not faster than missiles. But we've been trying to do that for years, and so much of the drugs, 25-30%, would come in through the seas. Right now we have, I would say, none coming in through the seas. In fact, I don't know about the fishing industry. If you want to go fishing, a lot of people aren't deciding to even go fishing. We've almost totally stopped it by sea. Now we'll stop it by land.
What's the next
But
step?
it never worked. It never worked when you did it in a very politically correct manner.
Salute to President Trump. And not only that, Democrats are still furious because, there's a lot of people walking around in Chicago with MAGA hats on, and Democrats don't like it as well.
And the people of Chicago are walking around with MAGA hats. You have women, beautiful black women, walking around with MAGA hats. Please let the president in, and we don't care how he does it. They're not interested in National Guard or Army, Navy. Bring them in. Marines, bring in the Marines. They just want the crime to stop.
Exactly.
And more so because of the success that we had in D.C. I think if we didn't have that success, nobody would even believe it.
Exactly. So that's another reason right there, the reason why Democrats are mad, because they want people saying otherwise about President Trump. So not only that, Kash Patel just dropped a bomb in the Oval Office. Say FBI Director Patel announces the location of 5,400 children victims of criminals.
Just a 3-month span, you had 8,700 arrests of violent criminals. You had 2,200 firearms seized off the streets permanently to safeguard our communities. You had 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized. Just to put that in perspective, that's enough to kill 55 million Americans alone. You had 45,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, and thanks to our Department of Justice partners, you had 2,100 indictments in 3 months, from June to September alone. Mr. President, that in and of itself would be historic for a 4-year presidency. You did that in 7 months because you let good cops be cops, and you partnered us with the right people at the Department of Justice to put the handcuffs on and bring them to court and put them in prison. And if that weren't enough, when you look at the year, for the entire 7-month period that we're talking about here, if you look at the past 4 years of the Biden administration, 16,000, 17,000, 15,000, 15,000. That's the number of arrests year over year of violent felons in this country for the Biden administration. Mr. President, in 7 months, you have 28,600 arrests of violent felons in just 7 months alone.
Wow.
Because of your leadership and the dedication of the men and women at the FBI who want to go out there and do the job they were prevented from doing because that department used to be weaponized and politicized. And this is what happens when you take out the fangs of weaponization. This number is historic by every metric. 28,000 people have been arrested, violent felons alone. And then when you go over there and look at some of these charts, if you don't mind, I'll just hop over here. Look at the metrics for not just violent crime, but the homeland. Mr. President, during your administration, the FBI has found and located 5,400 children. That is a 30% increase year to date over the last administration. Violent crimes against children arrests alone are up 10%. Gang arrests are up 210% in the last 7 months alone. And transnational organized crime, which Stephen Miller has been a great partner in, is up over 12% alone. These numbers are historic just as a snapshot. But just so people don't think we're focusing on violent crime alone, the national security mission, Mr. President, under your leadership has never been stronger.
Wow. Wow. In just 7 months, all of this. What Joe Biden and Kamala Harris couldn't do in 4 years. Couldn't do anything but sit there and complain and lie to the American people. Why? Because they supported illegal aliens. And not only that, you know, with President Trump doing Washington or Chicago, now he said, hey, could be headed to San Francisco next.
Strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco, there's one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess. And we have great support in San Francisco, so I'd like to recommend that for inclusion, maybe in your next group. You'll get great support. Every American deserves to live in a community where they're not afraid of being mugged, murdered, robbed, raped, assaulted, or shot. And that's exactly what our administration is working to deliver.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nationwide compared to the same period last year. And it was the safest and most peaceful summer in 2 decades. And honestly, we haven't really even gotten going yet. If we didn't have to fight all of these radical left governors, we could have had Chicago taken care of, as an example. They had, in a short period of time, 4,000 murders in Chicago, and we have to listen to this man stand up and say that we're bad people.
Exactly. J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson, both of them are just worse. All because they hate this man. They won't even let him come help them.
And the people of Chicago are walking around with MAGA hats. You have women, beautiful black women, walking around with MAGA hats. Please let the president in, and we don't care how he does it. They're not interested in national
exactly.
An effort known as Operation Summer Heat. We were in many cities that people didn't know about. We kept it a little quiet, and it had a big impact, and you'll hear that in a second. But over the past few months, FBI offices in all 50 states made crushing violent crime a top enforcement priority. That's what they did, rounding up and arresting thousands of the most violent and dangerous criminals. And these are among the most dangerous and violent people in the world. They were allowed, in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases, they were allowed in by a very foolish, actually stupid, open border policy. Just anybody could have come in. They emptied out their jails, their prisons, their mental institutions. They emptied them into our country. And the people behind me have done an incredible job, because if we didn't have that administration, it would have been so much easier. They allowed millions of people in this country that shouldn't have been allowed, including over 11,000 murderers, half of whom murdered more than one person. And many of them are gone now, or they're put in prison, because we don't want to have them come back. So we literally put them in our prison, which we don't want to do. But we bring them back to their countries. Working with state and local partners, the FBI arrested over 8,000 violent criminals during the course of this period. In major cities like in New Orleans, Nashville, we saw a 250% increase in arrests. And we really went after the bad ones. These include 725 individuals wanted for violent crimes against children and murderers. These arrests are in addition to the work of our historic federal task forces that Make DC Safe Task Force has been unbelievable. I mean, the job they've done, it's incredible. And it's been so nice, because so many people, they're going out to dinner and they're having dinners. They didn't go out for 4 years. And now they're going out 3 times a week. Restaurants are opening. Restaurants are full. And usually that means a lot of good things. But restaurants that were closed are now opening up. And everybody's happy. It's nobody's ever seen anything like it, actually. And everybody feels safe. You can have a child walk right through the middle of Washington, D.C., and nothing's going to happen. We were losing more than one person a week in Washington. They're being killed on an average of over one a week.
Wow.
The Make DC Safe Task Force has been incredible. And the Make Memphis Safe Task Force is having very similar results.
Wow. And now right here is that President Trump just announced he will be surging federal agents into San Francisco to clean up the crime long overdue. Gavin Newsom is going to throw a fit. We already know he's going to throw a fit, because why are they trying to stop President Trump's agenda? They don't want him, doing it, because they know it just increases the chances of J.D. Vance getting elected, which he's going to get elected anyway, because we ain't worried about the Democrats, gaining power. Because think about it. If they gain power, they're going to undo everything President Trump and his Trump administration did. They're going to reopen the borders. They're going to undo everything that President Trump did. So they lie to the American people to try to get back in power. And once they get back in power, they can care less about what the American people saying, because they in power now. And they ain't going to be thinking about trying to make the world great. All thing they're going to be talking about, which they already admitted on camera, that, they're going to go after President Trump. They're going to go after Cash Patel. They're going to go after everybody in the Trump administration. That's all they worried about, is going after somebody. But yet they crying about, it's like, come on, man.
Pained. I talked about crime, but I never knew that we were going to get into it like we did. I used to watch these cities with the murders. Chicago recently had one deal where they had 11 murders in one weekend, and they said, well, yeah, but it was a holiday weekend. They actually told me that was the reason. Like it was okay because it was a holiday. It was Labor Day. These people are the worst. They really have to. You better, I tell you what, the people in Chicago and the people in places like that can be fixed. At some point, it gets to where you can't fix it anymore. It's too far gone. And we have some cities like that. But these are great cities that can be fixed. I'm going to be strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco. There's one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess. And we have great support in San Francisco, so I'd like to recommend that for inclusion, maybe in your paint.
So salute to President Trump. All you can see, hey, he announced it will be surging federal agents into San Francisco. So salute to the president. The last thing I want to show y'all, which is a short clip of a while, say President Trump reveals he'll likely go to the Supreme Court and watch the arguments in person for the case defending his emergency tariff authority.
Disaster for America. That's why I think I'm going to go to the Supreme Court to watch it. I've not done that, and I had some pretty big cases. I think it's one of the most important cases ever brought, because we will be defenseless against the world. Okay?
Wow. So he will be going. So y'all get in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about this. I will keep y'all up to date as more information comes out. Thank you all for watching, especially the ones that made it to the end. Like I said, I try my best to keep y'all up to date with all the latest news so you will know exactly what's going on. But like I said, once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.